All right, so the Everesting record, I said it was going to get broken again. Again, all respect to Keegan. But the thing is, with stuff like this, you need, someone setting a benchmark. So when I first started looking into this, sub 8 hours was kind of the 4-minute mile for Everesting. I broke that, and then Keegan's like, oh, okay, I'm going to go faster. And then what I said was there's going to be some world-class climber, roadie type who takes it off of Keegan. As we see what's possible, you just have to go a little bit faster. And I kind of thought after Bookman's fast time, I sort of thought that the line would be around 7.5 hours. So he set that time, but had taken a break. But still, his legs are his legs, and someone's gonna be able to do that. And he might be able to come take it and do a similar time, going for the full record. But so Lachlan did it in 7 hours, and I think 32 or 33 minutes. Which is a full 19, 20 minutes faster than me, which is a lot, but also I was going in blind. I didn't know what anyone was capable of. So I'm excited. This is sort of the time. Now I know what I have to beat, and I have time to train for it while these guys have to start training for the Tour de France and whatnot. So I do need some time. I've been zeroing in on the climbs. There's sort of 3 climbs that are finalists. I don't want to tell you about them. I'm interested because the two times that are faster than mine on Everesting are all at high altitude at this point. So it was Keegan was around 6,000 feet. I think Lachlan was similar. So Keegan's in Utah, Lachlan in Colorado. And my first instinct was that I want a segment at sea level, because at sea level you can produce more power, but also the going downhill at altitude is a lot faster. So the power that you lose is kind of to your threshold, but I don't think you lose a whole lot. Like my tempo is 300 watts at sea level and it's 300 watts at altitude. So there might actually, I probably not, but there could be an advantage to doing it at altitude. I'm not even sure how to figure out if that's true. That's math that I'm not nearly smart enough for. I had an English degree and haven't learned anything since then. So if any scientists out there can answer that question of no one knows, we're just going to have to, God forbid I have to try it twice. I want to try it at sea level first, I think. But first I want to train for it and make sure that I'm the best me. And that just means I got to stack up more 8-hour endurance rides and more climbing. And I have a couple ways I'm going to geek out the old bicycle over here. I have a couple thoughts on improving the gearing and whatnot. But in honor of Lachlan taking this record, I wanted to tell my favorite Lachlan Morton story. I love Lachlan. We were teammates in 2014 on Garmin Sharp, and he was super young then. I think he must have been like 24, 25. Yeah, something in that ballpark. But just like he's exactly as weird and cool as he looks. Like, he's not putting it on. He is exactly that weird and cool and genuine. He's also just like a super sweet, nice dude. And there's a couple moments of him, if you've read Draft Animals, he has a couple choice spots. But one story that didn't make it, because it's just an aside, but the tour of Utah in 2016. So Lachlan won that tour of Utah. So we were teammates on Garmin Sharp, and then the Cannondale Garmin merger happened. Well, I'll get into that. So on that year on Garmin Sharp, we raced a tour of Utah, and Tom Danielson won, and it was the best race of my life. So I was trying to save my contract because Garmin Sharp was merging with the Italian Cannondale team, and half of us were going to be out, and I was definitely on that bubble. So I trained hard. I always trained, but like I put in a really good summer, went to tour of Utah, I was flying, and that was, looking back, that was probably one of the best. I didn't even have the result, but it was one of the best rides of my life, was that whole week. So Tom Danielson won the overall there, and it was me. Like, I was his last guy on every climb, and I was on the front for like 2/3 of that entire stage race. I was awesome then, and generally like that was, like I said, that's the best I was. And Tom, actually, the only jersey that I hang up that I didn't win myself is this one that Danielson gave me after that race. He gave me one of the yellow jerseys. That's you gotta earn those. So at that race and that whole year, I learned how to control a race. I learned how to ride on the front, how to control, like, okay, this many guys in the breakaway, this is who you're not allowed to let in the breakaway. There's a lot of dynamic stuff that happens in those races, and you don't learn it until you're on a team who wins races like that. So I've done a bunch of Tour of Californias before that, but I'd never sort of experienced, I was always on a team that's trying to get somebody in the top 10. And when you're leading it, it's a very different animal. And I learned that in 2014 in a handful of races. And then the next year, I lost out in the merger, and I was on Optum, and we go back to Tour of Utah, and I'm on a smaller team again, except we have Mike Woods in his coming out party was at Tour of Utah. So he won a stage, and we were leading that race for a few days. And I remember in that time, like, I was the guy who kind of had the experience of how to control a big race like that. I learned it the year before with Danielson. And I remember like coaching my teammates through it, talking on the radio, like, okay, here's how we make sure this is the right breakaway. And it's not easy to explain it. It's not easy to do. I had a whole year to figure it out with Garmin Sharp, and I had to sort of show my teammates within a few days. We did not end up winning that race overall. Dombrowski took it from Mike Woods on the snowbird stage, I believe. And then which is like the second to last stage. So the following year, so now we're on the third Tour of Utah in a row. So this is 2016. Now I'm back with Cannondale, Slipstream. I got back on the World Tour team, and we're trying to win it again. This time, Lachlan, I forget how he took yellow. I think he must have won an early stage. But Lachlan is in the leader's jersey for, I want to say, like 4 or 5 days. But he was on Jelly Belly at the time. So he went from Slipstream to Jelly Belly, and then up to, I believe, Dimension Data. But he was on Jelly Belly, which is definitely like one of the smaller teams in the race, one of the lower budget teams. Lachlan went kind of all the way to that rung of pro cycling when he came out of Europe. And I think more that was like mentally he was fried from just getting thrown around Europe for a few years, which I totally understood. But his legs were still World Tour. So Lachlan's leading the Tour of Utah, but he's also... But I knew those guys on Jelly Belly, and he was coaching them through it. So I knew what that meant was Lachlan's on the front of this race, and he's showing his teammates how to do it, and they did a great job. Like, they picked it up quick, and Lachlan was on the front and controlling that race for a few days. Finally, we get to Snowbird, and my team was working for Andrew Talansky, and Talansky either won the stage or got second. Whatever happened, he took yellow from Lachlan by, I think, a good margin. I think it was like 40 or 50 seconds, and it was a mountaintop finish, and it was kind of like the two of them dueling, and Talansky won it. Talansky went on to come fifth at the Vuelta like a month later. He was doing really well, and so in our eyes, like that day at the team bus, we won the race. So there's one more difficult stage coming up where you go, the final stage of the Tour of Utah goes up Empire Pass, which is a horrible climb. That's actually the climb where Keegan took the Everesting record, I believe, from me, was the backside of Empire. It's just hilariously steep up and down. And then you go over into Park City. So it's not quite a mountaintop finish, but that descent is really short and really fast, so it's effectively, that's what it is. But we sort of thought we had the race locked up. Lachlan got dropped the day before. Talansky beat him on that mountaintop, so why wouldn't you beat him on this mountaintop? And our team, we kind of just thought we just got to get Andrew to the bottom of this climb, and our day's over, and we'll have pizza and beers in a couple hours. And we get to the start line. That race starts and finishes in Park City. We get to the start in Park City, and I kind of just rolled up to Lachlan. I hadn't talked to him for a while, and I was like, "Hey man, mad respect for how you guys raced this week. Like you show those guys how to do it, and you rode awesome." And it was kind of just like a tip of the cap for how he was riding, but also a little bit like, in my head, I knew we got this. And Lachlan was like, "I hope you brought your big boy pants today, because this isn't over." And I was like, "What?" Because we thought it was over. And Lachlan announced that Babe Ruth style, and I was like, huh, okay, well, that's noted. We'll see what happens with that. And then we didn't have a perfect run-in. There was some crosswinds. There was a hill that things got split up in the middle of the course. But mostly, we were able to get Talansky to the bottom of Empire Pass with Lachlan. And Lachlan just sprinted off at the bottom, and we never saw him again. He won by like a minute and a half, and he won the overall. And it was pretty badass, because somehow he knew he was going to do that. So that's my Lachlan story. And and it continues with him Everesting when because there's no racing going on. I knew he would do it. I knew he'd do it, Lachlan. So that's that, and I enjoyed that. So that is hopefully the last of the annoying Everesting updates until it is me announcing when where I'm going to do it. Which I probably at this point is going to be till the fall, because I don't want to do it. I can't drive. I'm not going too far from California because of COVID, so I'm trapped here. And also, I don't want to do it in the super hot summer. So I have plenty of time to train for this and do my long rides. But that's what we got going. Hope you enjoyed that stupid story. Yeah. All right. Talk to you soon.